Okay, now what we're going to do now is I'm just going to debrief a little bit with Sue. Obviously, that was a real conversation, but obviously I am her husband, so I knew some of the inside information. But I'm going to ask Sue as to how she felt that conversation went with regard to the different style of questions and what kind of quality of conversation it was.
Right.
So, which parts of that conversations did you enjoy? Did you feel was kind of free flowing?
I think it's obvious. The first part of the conversation was much more easygoing, and I was able to share my thoughts, my dream, my thinking. I think my emotions were you basically asking questions that were allowed me to think about them and allowed me to share. So I was happy to share because you were listening and asking.
Yeah. And then in the middle part of the conversation, I was asking you concerning a few details and things about
that was quite boring, you know, like, do I own a car? Do I own a house? I mean, yes, I do, but where's that going? I didn't know that there was an agenda to that, or if it was just it's like a list. I felt like we were doing a list of questions at that point.
Yeah. And then towards the end of the conversation, how did you feel about the quality of it there?
I felt quite judged, actually. I think you could say that the questions were more leading into a way that I was thinking, well, I felt quite challenged, so I was going to get into a conflict situation, or I was just going to agree with you or just shut down. Because why argue? Because you were just saying, well, why don't you, and do you think? And that wasn't very nice. Didn't enjoy that part of the question.
No. Exactly, yeah. So, as you may well have picked up, we started off with open questions, which deepened the conversation. The closed questions got us a bit of information, but
boring.
It was fairly boring. The leading questions was where I was putting myself in the position of somebody who had a fixed opinion about what Sue had done with her life, and I was basically wanting to, in the form of a leading question, just basically tell her what she should have done. And I wasn't really inquiring. I didn't really want to know what Sue was thinking. I wanted her to come under my sense of judgment, which is often what can happen in the leading question. Don't you think you ought to have? Is really saying you should have done this. And we often all do it, but what ends up happening is that it shuts down a conversation, and Sue was probably going to end that one fairly quickly after that. What we're going to ask you to do now, just for a couple of minutes, is to think back over all the conversations that you've had with family, friends here at GLA, and ask yourself the question, what percentage